Hello, CWA family. And I have to follow that, right? Okay. Well, I'm excited to introduce our next speaker, a true champion for workers, Congresswoman Val Hoyle. Congresswoman Hoyle is only in her first term, but she has done a tremendous job fighting for our members in Congress. As a member of the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, she's consistently been a huge advocate for CWA members who are doing the work building out and installing high-speed broadband internet. I also specifically want to mention her work to protect our passenger service members. In 2019, Kendrick Hudson, a member of Local 3645, was killed in a tragic on-the-job accident. At the end of 2022, Courtney Edwards, a member of CWA Local 3645, was also killed in yet another terrible on-the-job accident on the ramp. After these incidents, CWA passenger service agents stood up to demand action to keep all airline workers safe on the job. They found a champion in Congresswoman Hoyle. She introduced the bill that she introduced and fought for and got Ramp Worker Safety Act passed into law. This bill goes a long way in addressing the hazards that put ramp workers' lives at risk every day. It doesn't just stop there. She also successfully advocated for the right of our flight attendants to be able to pump at work. Congresswoman Hoyle has shown us what it means to be a pro-worker Congress. Please join me in a warm welcome to Congresswoman Val Hoyle. Get up on your feet. Thank you so much. That was very nice. Thank you. And thank you for everything you're doing.
Well, good morning, everybody. How you feeling this morning? After listening to Maurice Mitchell, I am personally ready to go out, knock on some doors, and elect some pro-labor people. Now, I say people because not everybody, I'm a Democrat, but not every Democrat is pro-labor. I hear people in my party say, well, we used to need unions, but now maybe we can just lower these standards so that we can get more investment. It's difficult for these jobs or these things. We have to hold our elected officials accountable, and here's what I know. As a third-generation union member, I was a member of Unite Here. My father was a firefighter. Like Mr. Mitchell's son, I grew up in union halls. I grew up in campaign offices, electing people that would stand up for workers. And my grandfather, when he immigrated here, joined the laborers' union, building bridges before they had nets under the bridges, because corporations were not held accountable and those nets were too expensive, but the men working on those bridges, when they died, it didn't matter, because those protections didn't exist. But you know why they exist now? Because of unions. And my son's a Teamster. So the bottom line is, we have Republicans that we work with on issues. Certainly the Airport Worker Ramp Safety Act, which was so important, that's bipartisan, right? Allowing flight attendants and pilots, it's ridiculous that we had to fight for this, to have the ability and the space and the time to pump so that working mothers can come back to work and still take care of their children. That was bipartisan. But Those same people voted for Speaker Mike Johnson, where much like Project 2025, and I have a 10.5-hour flight in the best case scenario. It's 10.5 to 11 hours for me to get from here to home. I live in the most beautiful place in the world on a river in Oregon. It's really far away with no direct flights. But I have time to read things, so I've read through Project 2025. Every single aspect of our lives will change. We have more support for labor unions now than we have had in decades. Over 70% of people in the United States support labor unions and the right to organize. And that means working people have more power. So what are corporations doing? They are putting money into people who have sold working people the myth that we are their enemy, right? They have sold the myth that we need to fight each other, because when we're fighting each other over all of these issues, we're not fighting for each other. And that's the strength of a union. What I say is, I'll go into union halls. I represent some very conservative areas. I represent some very progressive areas. But what I talk about is jobs and rights for workers. And interestingly enough, that is popular wherever you go, standing up for working people. But we're going to have to fight to keep what you all have fought for so well, right? Because they want to take everything away, both in Mike Johnson's roadmap for Republicans, right? And again, I work with some Republican colleagues, but their leadership has explicitly written on their roadmap in Project 2025 that they want to implement right to work for less across this country. They want to make it harder for you to organize. They want to take away those benefits that people fought and died to get. So we need to make sure that doesn't happen. We need to make sure, and I am so proud to be here within the House of Labor. Whenever I walk into a room like this, I feel like I'm home. And I will tell you, when I first got into office, you know, I grew up in union halls, right? I worked in the bike industry. So people would say, you're too loud. Your elbows are too sharp. Maybe you shouldn't drop the F-bomb on the floor of the House, right? But the fact of the matter is, the tables where decisions are made, they want to make us uncomfortable. They want to point out that we don't fit in, that our words are too loud, that we are too much. So that's why we need more people to be elected who came up and got their leadership and learned their leadership skills through the labor movement. I love my colleagues that are pro-labor, and we have a lot of them. We have the Labor Caucus, and it is getting stronger. We have our first, executive director and staff person. We have lots of them. But there is a difference with people who came up through the House of Labor. I am in Congress, a second-generation American, a daughter of a firefighter, first person in my family to graduate from college because of the labor movement. When I worked at as a waitress, represented by Unite. It was Unite then, now it's, it was here, it's now Unite here, so the Hotel and Restaurant Workers Union. I was able to get health benefits. I was able to get my teeth fixed. I was able to have sick leave, right? We were able to have benefits, and I was able to go to school, and I was able to pay my bills because I belonged to a union, because my father belonged to a union, because my grandfather belonged to a union. So unions give us opportunity, but this is all under attack. And one of the most important things we have to recognize is most people have no idea. Like, we live in this every day, and I'm like, how are you not terrified that we are on the verge of losing our democracy, right? They say they want smaller government unless they want to be controlling what we do with our lives. They want to be taking away the rights that we fought for, whether they're union rights, whether they're health care rights, whether they're housing rights. They want to take them away, and it's all in writing. Like, it's not hidden. The most powerful thing that we can do is talk to other union members, because one union member has credibility with another union member. And like I say, and I'm in a lot of rooms that are, you know, in rural areas that are very Republican, and in my university towns that are very progressive. And the fact of the matter is, what we need to fight for are wages, hours, working conditions, collective bargaining rights, and pensions. That's it. And everything else we can disagree on, we can work on, but those 5 things are critical, and if we give up those things because we allow people who want to destroy what we built to tear us apart, well, shame on us. So this election is more critical than any we've ever had. And the labor movement is like a muscle. If you don't use it, it gets weak. So we need to use it, and we need to fight, because when we fight, we win. When we fight, we win every single time. And I've seen it over and over and over again. So, you know, we have right now the most pro-union president in the history of the United States. President Biden is the most pro-union president. He is. But we don't hear about that. We hear about the fact that he's old. Well, you know what? So is his opponent. And that guy will talk like he supports working people. He uses the language, but he doesn't even pay his workers for the work that they've done. Why do we think he's going to take care of us? He is not. We have to call that out. The bottom line is, if we can get the majority in the House and make Hakeem Jeffries the Speaker of the House, if we can hold the Senate, and that will be hard, but we have people like Sherrod Brown and Jon Tester who have Jackie Rosen, who have over and over and over again stood up for us. We need to stand up for them. And again, when we talk about working people, we win. Hold the Senate and re-elect President Biden. And let me tell you, they also have made it very clear they will not recognize any election that they lose. So we have to win by enough that they cannot lie about it. Well, they will, but they cannot win. So my office, we're working, our campaign is working out of the Firefighters Union Hall. My previous campaign, we worked out of the Carpenters Hall, because the fact of the matter is, I know where I came from, and you got me here, so it is my job in Congress to make sure that I represent you. You dance with them that brung you. And I'm proud, I am proud every single day to stand up for working people, people like me who are a little too loud, a little too much, with elbows too sharp, who say the things that everybody's thinking, but they think it's awkward and unprofessional. People like me don't get to places like this very often, so I gotta use this time as much as I can to stand up for working people. And I will say, I encourage those of you who have an opportunity to run for office, and don't let them tell you that you don't belong there because you're not like them. They want you to feel like you don't have a voice. They want you to feel uncomfortable. And if you run for office, call me. I will donate to your campaign. So what I will say is, right now, we have an existential threat to our democracy and for our ability to protect workers, and we need to hold elected officials accountable. So what I will say to you, I've said this before, is to give the advice that my mother gave me. You have something of value. Everybody wants your endorsement. Everybody wants your feet on the street. Everybody wants that PAC money that you work so hard for every hour, giving just a bit of money voluntarily to make sure to get people elected. You have something of value that other people want. don't give it away for free. She was talking about something else, but it is the same concept. You have something of value, do not give it away for free. And we, in the Labor Caucus, are proud to stand with you, and thank you so much. And we're ready to fight every single day between now and November to make sure that we can be union proud and show them what it means to go up against the House of Labor. Thank you all.